So current affairs. So how would you sort of introduce your current affairs? So for instance, you know that there is a particular topic called fertility and fecundity, and paper 2 also has this topic. I believe it is 2.1 or 3. 2 point in chapter number 2, right? So you have what are the factors that influence increase and decrease of population in India, right? So population, so demographic studies, right? So you can basically try to follow up on what is happening. So for instance, NFHS 5 data had come out, and it shows that today, the total fertility rate is approximately around 2, which means it is even less than the replacement rate, okay, which is considered to be 2.1. So meaning the graph is falling down, right? So the graph is going to fall down. So if let's say we are at a 1.3 something, okay, we are 1.3 something, it is going to come down, right, with given time, right? So that is an important sort of perspective. Why so? And I'm sure that you would have read something, giving one or two sort of reasons, one or two sort of additional sort of information that we have seen in the news that could also probably add a lot of value here, right? And there's something that is not too difficult, right? So for instance, every single time you open your the Hindu newspaper, you'll be able to find many such articles that could add a lot of value. So for instance, this is from Indian Express. I don't recall where I have cut this one from. Most probably it is from the Hindu. Okay, different groups that are asking for ST status, again, recognition, non-recognition, deprivation, or dominance in a particular region. There are many things that you could probably understand from these. So all of these sort of perspectives will also help you sort of show to the evaluator that not only do you understand the theoretical aspects here and you're able to write the theoretical aspects, there's a certain amount of connect that you can make with all the theory that you're writing, okay, along with what is happening in today's society, okay, in the 2000 let's say the last 5-6 years, right? Left-wing extremism is an important part of our syllabus, right? So there are a lot of things, what happens in your Chhattisgarh, what happens in your Madhya Pradesh, what happens in Maharashtra, Kerala, Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Odisha, West Bengal, Jharkhand, right? So and so this particular article talks specifically about Adivasis, right? So are there things from here that you probably want to take? Yes, you can take a look at these, right? And you can also highlight the fact that how they suffer in this whole game as well. So plenty of things that you can recruit from these sort of you can make them examples, you can make them case studies. If it's an example, you probably want to just mention it as an example, probably like 1 or 2 lines. When it's a case study, you could probably give it a little more sort of a detail. It really depends on the number of marks that is there and how much do you want to highlight that particular aspect. So caste engineering in Telangana, how certain castes, how political parties are sort of trying to woo different sort of groups. Okay, so casteization of politics or politicization of caste that we talk about, right? So these sort of aspects are always you can find them to a great extent in the newspaper. So for instance, if there's a question about caste and politics, of course you can bring in Rajni Kothari, right? But how does it operate in today's time period? Much after Rajni Kothari and his sort of ideas. So Rajni Kothari. Okay, so how does it operate today, right? So this is sort of another sort of an important angle as well. Okay, so caste and economic sort of aspects. Okay, this is also very interesting sort of an article. Okay, not too far back. Okay, so that we discussed in our class, right? So these sort of articles give you an idea that when you study anthropology, you have to study it in a holistic sort of a manner. And not only are you studying it in a holistic sort of a manner, you also have to focus on the integratedness, right? The integratedness. Okay, you cannot study caste. So caste is also a social institution. So you probably have studied social institution in your chapter number 2, right, in your social cultural anthropology, right? So caste is an institution. Caste as an institution. Okay, and how do you study? Just like how we study all parts of anthropology, there is a certain amount of integratedness. Okay, or in the words of a certain anthropologists, you can call it as embeddedness or institutedness. I'll just keep them in quotes because it's a fun terms that have been introduced by anthropologists, right? So this article also tells you the role of caste, and economic transformation vis-a-vis how it sort of operated in certain other countries as well, right? So for instance, very simple, right? So even today, if you see the largest of businessmen, the large business groups in India still come from certain caste groups, okay? Many of them are Vaishya groups or like Banya sort of groups. What exactly makes them click? right? There is a great network amongst the Banyas or the Vaishya sort of groups as well, depending upon which region we're talking about. Okay, and they have sort of internal sort of networking, social networks that basically promote that is also social capital, right? So how exactly it sort of like operates in that particular manner? Okay, how exactly you start seeing certain barriers to entrepreneurship, depending upon which caste that you belong to, and so on and so forth. So there are many things that you could probably understand at a deeper level. Some really good examples given here as well. Okay, so always these could be good. So for instance, if you see here, so you see in Haryana, Punjab, the Jats, right, and then you have the Marathas in Maharashtra, you have the Gujarat mein Patidars or Patels, and so on and so forth. They're also asking for reservation, okay, in higher education, jobs, and so on and so forth. What exactly makes this sort of incidents happen, right? They're considered to be a dominant caste in their so-called in their regions as well, right? So what exactly makes that? So again, a great sort of this would be like great food for thought, right? So caste and social capital was the question. What if the caste? The question is caste and economic capital, caste and a political sort of capital, right? Great sort of aspects here.